Welcome, Eagle family, friends, and fans, to our very first installment of Behind the Feathers. This is our attempt for you guys to get to know our staff, our players, and a little bit more about our program, other than things that you might see on camera when you're watching the games or in the stands. So welcome, and here we go.
Sometimes, yeah. She usually watched what I was watching. SpongeBob. Krabby Patty.
This is gold. Okay, well, so again, for this first installment, we've got our staff here. We're going to go around the table and maybe introduce yourself and tell us how you got here.
Do you want me to start?
Yeah.
I'm Taylor. How I got here is I got to actually play for John at Northern Colorado for 4 seasons. It was super fun. We had some really awesome success there. Went and played a 5th year of basketball at Texas Rio Grande Valley, and then after I finished up that season, was around the time John had taken this job out here at Eastern, and he had given me a call. He said, "Hey, I got this spot. It's yours if you want it." And that was really exciting for somebody who had, no experience and hadn't played volleyball in a year. So it was awesome to feel like he was wanting to take a chance on me, and he had a lot of belief and a lot of faith in me as a person and as a coach. So that was really exciting. And yeah, that's how I ended up at Eastern, and it's been a really fun 4-year ride so far.
So as a follow-up, what do you think it'll be like to actually have to go and look for a job instead of the job coming and finding you?
I know. I think about that a lot, actually. I have a little bit of anxiety about that. Maybe nightmares is the right word. Yeah, it'll be different for sure. I think it's going to take probably a little bit more courage than it did to just pick up the phone when your name popped up.
All right. Well, Kim, how did you get here?
Great question. Gosh, I was just sharing earlier with Adrian and Taylor. It felt like a full circle moment, honestly, stepping on campus after you looked at my information and said, "Hey," you kind of gave me a nod and said I could come volunteer. Because I'd been recruited here a long time ago. So just being able to work with this program and have you say yes. I had some mentors that had directed me towards trying to figure out how to get into the college game, and they said that I should come figure out what you and Grayson and Taylor were doing, and you were kind enough to let me join. And so 4 years later, here we are. So super grateful for the opportunity.
But you're from this area, so this has essentially been home for a long time, right? And you played in Spokane at Whitworth, right? So this really is kind of your backyard, and you have inside knowledge on all the people that are in this area, or at least the people associated with volleyball in this area. So this has been kind of a really nice thing for us, because if we ever need any information, it's like, well, go ask him, you know? So you're kind of our resident expert. I don't know if you recognize that.
Oh, I like that. I had done a lot of club in high school through the years. And so, yes, grew up here, and this is home. So, yeah, it was super awesome to get the nod to be able to hang out in my backyard. And I love this sport, and I love the opportunity to help grow what you have brought to this university. And so, yeah, I would agree.
All right.
And quite genuinely, like, the nicest person I've ever met in my entire life.
Well, true. And that was one of my follow-up questions.
Why are you so nice?
You jumped the gun on, which was, what is it like to be universally loved?
Oh, my gosh. Well, let's ask Daryl what he thinks about that. That's nice of you guys. I have my moments.
All right, Adrian.
Adrian and my journey is a little bit, I did have to apply to work here, so a little different than what Taylor experienced. But I grew up in Salt Lake, coached high school there for 10, 11 years, and I also got a journalism degree, and so I worked in professional sports and college sports and did that, and then ended up at Weber State for 2 years. And so this is kind of one of my full circle moments, is coming back to the Big Sky, and in between it stops at Gonzaga and Seattle U. And so now I'm back here and love this. I love representing the inland, I think they call it the Inland Empire in here, with says it out by the airport, so I believe that's a real thing. So, but the inland part of Washington and this part of the state, and I'm also grateful to be back here. I say that John saved my marriage because I was driving back and forth to Seattle twice a week. And so my wife still lived here. So it's been really nice to come back here and be a part of this and be back in the Big Sky, which everywhere I've been, I have always talked about how good the volleyball is in this conference. And I put it up against any other mid-major conference in the country. And so that's the cool part is the volleyball happens to be really good. And we happen to be at a really great university. So that part's really awesome too. So.
Yeah. So follow up for you then.
Oh no.
Having been to several other institutions and without, any sort of criticism or disparaging remarks about those, why are we so much better?
There's you obviously.
Correct.
Like, yeah, no. No, it's like I said, it's this university is a great field. The small town, college town part of it is really cool. And people in Cheney, you hear Go Eags everywhere you go, even though they live here and they see the Eags logo everywhere. It's still something you hear. Just I walk to the grocery store and I'll have my volleyball stuff on. And some random person will be like, Go Eags. Like that part's really cool. And I've heard it everywhere I travel. I always wear now that I have a lot of stuff, I'll wear my Eags hats. I'll wear my volleyball shirts and I get it pretty much everywhere I go. So we have great representation all over. So that part's really cool for me.
Absolutely. Just wait till you're here for one of the tailgates for football.
I know that I'm very excited
lot of
to
fun.
be a part of as well. So football and the famous red turf is going to be awesome.
Now, I have threatened to fire you several times since you've been here.
Yes.
What's that like?
It hurt the first time, but it hurt that you called the guy who had my job before in front of me to say, hey, I'll fire him right now. But no, it's keeping me on my toes, so that part's really nice. So.
All right, well, I will stop.
Unless I deserve it, then we'll chat off camera about that part.
Taylor, perhaps you can kind of talk to us a little bit about, because you're so recently into this profession and recently coming off of playing, what's the most challenging piece going from player to coach for you?
Yeah. Most challenging is it's probably just going to be like how you see the game. That had been like probably the biggest change for me going from player to coach. There was a lot of humility going into coaching after playing, just because you think you're really good as a player and you think you're a lot better than you actually are. And then getting to be on the other side of it and like processing a lot of information and getting to work with both you and Grayson and just like your guys' breadth of knowledge that you brought and getting to like learn from that, that was really humbling. So that was really cool. Also, like getting to step to be on the other side of it and get to see the game in a really different way was really, really cool. But yeah, I think maybe just like going from player to coach is like reevaluating like, okay, I gotta be a professional now, and I gotta like put on the face sometimes, and I don't just get to goof off like with my buddies during practice. But that is something that I like really enjoyed about Eastern and the girls that we bring in is that like we still get to have that rapport of like getting to be friends with them still, and especially like being so. I'm not gonna say so close to their age anymore. I used to be, but I'm kind of edging up that gap a little bit now. But getting to be friends with them is really, really special. And I think we have some really great kids in the program that I truly would be friends with outside of getting to be their coach.
What about moving from playing for John into working with John and your relationship that kind of
How bad does that suck?
Yeah.
No, I like as a player, I think we had a great like friendship also. We only worked serve receive, I think, together, and then some individual defense stuff. But I do like so fondly remember the van rides and like apparently there was no like choosing of the vans.
There was none of that.
But I was always in John's van, so I'm going to say that there was a draft process going on, and I'm hoping I was first pick. But it's just a lot of really great memories of like doing the road trips and just bantering like in the car together. And yeah, I think the biggest like transition from having to play for you and getting to work with you is like the depth of the relationship. I think like I get to know you now as like a person and not just as this like figure of a coach. And I think our friendship has absolutely grown because of that. And getting to like see you and Wendy together has been really, really special. And like how you interact with your mom when she gets to come to town. And I think getting to see like the work that you've put in, the work that you put into your coaching and also into the relationships with the team. Like I get a very unique perspective into that now that I didn't get to see as a player. And that's just like been really heartwarming to know that like you had put in that same effort into like our relationship. So yeah.
Huh. That was a lot more than I thought.
That's good.
Great question. Right.
I'm trained in this.
Yes, this is kind of your wheelhouse, isn't it? Kim,
Oh boy.
you have actually a very unique perspective in that your daughter Maddie plays college volleyball, Division I volleyball at St. Mary's. You went through the whole recruiting process with her. You've gone through a lot of the things that our player parents go through all the time, right? You hear about the hard practices or the tough matches or the challenging moments for your daughter. And at the same time, you're coaching a group of girls. And so it's a really unique perspective, I think. Have you thought about that and how it shapes your coaching and how you relate to the players?
100%. I think that's spot on. It's been a gift, honestly, to I think be a better coach to our women here at Eastern. Because it is an inroads into the daily lives of what they do and endure and how they manage it and choices off the court and on the court. And so thankful that recruiting process is over. I don't envy anyone going through it right now. So, but it can be done and done well. So good job, everybody. Keep doing that kind of stuff. But once you get there, it's just been special to be able to bridge that gap for our women to say, sometimes where you guys have to come and explain things to them and hold their feet to the fire, maybe I get to come in and say, still holding your feet to the fire, but let me come alongside you a little bit because I can do that in this role. And, maybe it's like in the dorm when we had our kids here from Texas that just flew in to help for camps and they forgot sheets. Okay, I got extra sheets. Let's make it work at the dorms and things like that. So, it's a different perspective and I'm grateful for that.
Awesome. So, Adrian,
Yes.
you are essentially an urban farmer.
Mm-hmm, yes.
You've got chickens.
We're done with the volleyball question. So we're right into the chickens again.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, we talk a lot about chickens.
Yes, yes.
So you had chickens. You were a beekeeper.
Accidentally.
Kind of, and you got some vegetables. You also run an animal shelter out of your home.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really feel like you have enough time to give to this program?
That's what I get up with as the chickens cry. The sun comes up, and that's about when I'm out of bed, taking care of. I think right now I've got I've got 8 kittens, plus their mother, plus my own 3 cats, plus my 2 dogs, plus my giant goldfish in the back. So it is a farm. Oh, and 1 giant catfish. So I've got a menagerie, I think is a good word. So yes, but it's about balance. There can be balance in life a little bit. Luckily, I have a very good partner, and so she helps me manage a lot of my time at home. But there's a lot of animals laying around.
Have you named any of these animals after any former players by chance?
I don't really like any of my former players, so it's no, just kidding. I know I have not gone that far quite yet, but no, there's a lot of them though. It's good. Hey, everyone benefits. Everyone at this table has gotten eggs.
It's true. This is true.
Yes.
Do you think being an urban farmer makes you a better coach?
It's kind of like herding chickens. It's a lot like herding 20 young people around, and trying to get them to all go have the same meal together. I think I've never really thought about those lessons from raising animals, but you're making a lot of sense right now.
Yeah.
So.
That's what we do here. We just we
Right.
connections.
Right. So, we've got kittens if anyone needs them.
Yeah.
Up for adoption. So.
What do you got on your paper there?
Oh, just for you, some questions.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to fire some at you. Although, one thing that I really love when I got here as I sat down at the four of us sat in your office, right, when I was here discussing the job with you, and I think I asked like, what's the statement? What do you want to achieve here? And you have this written on your board, and it's up there in the corner. So if you go into John's office, it's up there. It's written. I wrote it down. Maybe you can go into it a little bit. Develop deep, lasting relationships, foster an environment based on growth and excellence, and challenge yourself and others to embrace obstacles. And you were kind of talking about the developing of those deep, lasting relationships, as I can see here. But kind of what are you looking for as you try to build your program through the lens of the statement that you wrote down and maybe how you came up with it?
Yeah. Well, that's interesting that you saw that stuff up there. I thought I wrote it pretty small, but
You did. I had to walk all the way over there to take a look at it. But.
it's just some stuff that I wrote down kind of as I was trying to figure out what my why is. Like we all do this, right? So what's our why? And as we get into the next few sessions with some of the players, it'll be kind of discussing the why. Those three things right there are the why. Like we don't do this because we're going to be millionaires. Like we don't do this because we want to be driving around town and showered with love and affection from people you don't even know. Like we do this because of our athletes and those connections. I know that we're doing the right thing the right way when they are asking us to be part of their lives that doesn't deal with volleyball. We have had a couple players. One of them got married earlier, like last week or so, and one of them's getting married here at the end of the week. And they are asking us to be, part of that with them. They want to share that moment with us. And while I can't go, unfortunately, that is really showing me that we're doing this in the right way because those relationships are so deep. And we want our players to have that deep relationship with one another so that they're all in on those really important moments too, right? Getting married, having kids, big life events that they can then lean on one another. So that's kind of it. The obstacles piece, this is unfortunately a really pivotal time in their lives because there are some obstacles that are really challenging. Grandparents are getting older, and sometimes they lose them while they're here, and that's horrible. But those are just natural things of life, and those are obstacles that we want to be there to help them through as best we can. And then we're constantly battling, I think, especially with this generation. They want to be perfect. And so many of them are perfect in their academics, right? They're getting 4.0s while they're here. Like, we're super proud of all the work they do in the classroom, but life is imperfect. And so we're constantly striving for growth and to achieve excellence, right? And that's one of the things that we talk about quite a bit is like, you're not going to be perfect, but you can give great effort and bring a great attitude. And those things are in pursuit of excellence. So, yeah, that's why those are all up there.
Did you come up with these like throughout your career? You've been all over the country. You've been on the East Coast. You're from Hawaii. You pretty much hit the gamut. I don't know if you've worked in Alaska, but
Not yet.
Not yet. But kind of how did you pick those up as you came through? As assistants, we all have different goals and things that we want to achieve in our careers, and I always am interested in how people pick things up as they move through, and then if they do achieve things like you being a head coach is something I know you strive for, and where did you learn some of those things? Both in good and bad ways. I think we can pick good things up and bad things up, or maybe bad's the wrong word, but things that we don't want to use going forward in our own journeys as coaches. So kind of maybe where you pick some of that stuff.
I worked for some amazing head coaches. Heather Mazetas down there at Louisiana Lafayette. She truly, she wore her emotions on her sleeve. She was so giving. Was always like the first one in their corner, right? And that relationship that she developed with them, and she brought in the kids from all over the planet. You know, we had so many international kids too. So she was really fostering that family thing and being the home away from home for so many of them who couldn't just drive, 30 minutes down the road to, be with their families. So, she really taught me a lot. Of course, Aaron up in at Dartmouth when I was there, that was really different because we had kids that were from the opposite coast most of the time, right? So they're from California and Oregon and Washington, and Texas. So they're from really far away, and she and her family were so great about welcoming all of those kids in, and I know that she's developed that same rapport as she went from there to Illinois to Stanford and now to Santa Clara. So I learned a lot from her about bringing that family together. And I worked with some really great people at Dartmouth also. Belle Koklanis, who is now an assistant coach for the WNBA, the Dallas
Wings.
Yes. So she's an assistant coach. Her brother is the head coach there, and she had some just really great things about how do we get all these pieces to work together, right? And then, of course, Lindsay over at Northern Colorado. I feel I really learned how to be a more technical coach working with her. And then, of course, I worked with PE, who was the head coach at Colorado for a long time when we were both at Northern Colorado. So I surrounded myself with really great, fun people. And honestly, this league has some really, really sharp head coaches in it. And so it's really fun to kind of pick their brains and just to come up with some of this stuff that's not really tangible, but makes all the difference. Did that even answer the question?
It's totally good.
Okay. I just rambled for a second.
Rambling's good.
Yeah. That kind of concludes our first installment of Behind the Feathers. We want to thank you guys all for being with us. Coming up in our next installment, we'll have grad student and fifth year player Alyssa Radke to join us. She's going to be talking through kind of her experience here at Eastern. She's been through a couple different coaches. She's had a couple injuries. And so some really unique perspectives from somebody who's kind of been through it all here at Eastern, and we're really excited to have her sharing her thoughts with us. So make sure you guys go out there, get your season tickets. They're on sale now. Go to goeags.com and pick them up. Thanks so much. Go Eags!
Go Eagles!
Go Eagles!